Hey everybody, I'm going to be making a part 2 to my Linkswell Gen 4 12.1 Tesla style radio in my Silverado 2018 3500. It's been a little over 6 months, so I figured I'd make an update video. There's been some changes. They updated some stuff with the system, so try to cover a few what they've done here. One of the biggest ones is before, if you wanted to update your system, you actually had to put it on a thumb drive, download it from their website, bring it out to the truck, and then install it via thumb drive whenever you want to do it. The big thing they've done now is you can come to your settings and you can actually update everything here now. You got to have internet. For some reason, my GM Wi-Fi doesn't work with this. It does with all the apps, but for whatever reason the updating does not work. So right now I have it on my phone Wi-Fi, but you can see down here it says it's connected, and then all you simply got to do is come over here and check for updates and it'll let you know. Like right now I've got a new version that's available, so I can update it. I'm not going to do it now because it takes a little while and it's got to go through the restart process, but that's pretty much one of the big ones that they made an update for, was being able to Wi-Fi make all your updates. So that's a pretty big deal. Cover some stuff like I had before. I've got the iGo nav option, so that way I do not need the Wi-Fi. It goes off of the antenna that I installed. Radio station works fine. Never have any issues. I got it turned down now though, but if you're on the go and you want to make any adjustments, you can hit the equalizer button. You can make any of these adjustments to the equalizer, which makes it sound really nice. Change the balance. What I like to do, let me turn this back down, is I like to put the loudness on. A lot of people don't like to use it. It's a little bit overwhelming. But what I've found is if I put the loudness on, go back to your settings, if you actually turn the settings down, instead of most people go past the mid mark and go up, if you go down, you can tune it in so it sounds great with the built-in amplifier compared to the stock Bose. I always thought my stock Bose wasn't that bad, but with the loud turned on, the built-in amplifier, and just turning my settings down, it sounds so much better. Obviously not competition style, but compared to stock, it's a big improvement. Really like it. Like I said, you got all these icons down here that you can't really switch, but another thing that they've added was, instead of having just these basic ones that you can kind of set up, like I set up my music one, it'll play my tune-in radio app if I want to listen to that. I've got my videos set up if I want to watch YouTube. It plays while I'm driving. Not that I do, but it does if you want to pick and choose music while you're driving. Bluetooth works fine. I never have any issues trying to hear anybody or anything like that. The climate pops up, works pretty good. Phone link, that's actually working fine now. I got it over here in my glove box. They sent me the correct cable. Mine happened to get shipped out with the wrong one. But plug in the correct one here. Come back here and phone link. Go ahead and let it load up. Might not be the fastest compared to stock, but it loads up pretty quick, I believe. Works fine. So basically all your regular Apple CarPlay that you have in the stock system works the same. The only thing is you have to use their provided USB. All the other USBs that might have been able to use CarPlay before, they're basically just power now. The only one for Apple CarPlay is the one off from that dongle they have coming out the back of the radio. They do sell an adapter that extends it if you want to be able to extend that to place it somewhere else in your center console, but I rarely use it. Mainly we use it when we're doing a lot of traveling. And now that I have Wi-Fi in the truck and I have all the apps. I don't know if I'd actually ever use it anymore. So for me, it's not a big deal, but I know a lot of people like to have that in their vehicle running when they're traveling or whatever they're doing. So the phone link works fine. You got your internet. Cams. Like I've got my front camera installed, and that works fine. Also, a good thing is if you want to drive and put your rear view one on, I can watch my rear view camera now if I want to too. It's a nice little feature to have. A lot of people ask if they can have something to watch their rear view while they're driving. Another thing they're getting ready to come out with in spring, they're just releasing the ones for the Ford, is the 360 camera CAN bus module. The Ford ones are getting ready to get released out now. They said springtime-ish, depending on all the pandemic stuff going on, how long it might take, but if you have, like me, if you got the cameras in the mirrors and you got the third brake light camera and the front cameras, you'll be able to utilize all of those and be able to have your turn signals turn on the mirror ones, just like with the IntelliHaul. You do have to have RCA adapter plugs, so I had to modify all my IntelliHaul for it to be able to work, but I've got them all set up ready to go, so whenever they release that, I'll be able to install that a little bit easier than the system that I was going to use. So that's a nice little feature if for whatever reason. I know for me, I like to use it. Pulling in's not that easy when you're in a spot that you don't know if your truck's out of the parking spot enough, so instead of having my wife jump out and try to see how far I got to go, or me getting out 10 times to see how much further I can go forward, I just put the camera on, I can see what's going on. Another thing they added is now you have a bunch of customizable other icons that you can use. Before this wasn't here, so like now I can watch my Ring doorbell if I want to put that on. Mine's actually set up for my driveway one, because that's usually where I'm going to have somebody, both of them really, but usually I just have it set up on my vehicle so I can see if someone's coming into my driveway, I'll know who it is. If you want the Waze app, pretty much whatever app you have installed, you can use one of these shortcuts for it. Somebody was asking recently if you can watch Netflix while you're driving. Yes, I don't, but you can. It's in motion. So if you have Wi-Fi, you'll be able to do that. So basically whatever apps you have, you'll be able to put on these shortcuts. Another more recent thing that they just recently put in was they added the ability to just leave your climate controls on the bottom if you don't want to look at those icons. So that's normally what's there when it goes on startup. Let me get out of that. Now all you got to do is swipe over here. I've never actually left it on here to shut the vehicle off and turn it back on to see if it's there when you start the truck, but that's a new option they just recently added. So if you don't want to use the hard buttons, that all work fine, and you don't feel like reaching down to try to find this button while you're driving to do it, you don't have all the options, but at least now you can be able to hit it without having to hit any other buttons if you want, or if you don't like the hard buttons. So that's another nice one. That's mainly it for most of the updates. Another question people ask is because of it doesn't have the fast boot anymore, and it takes the 15 seconds or whatever it is to start up. Let me shut the truck off and go over something. They were asking about what do you do if you pop in your truck? Do you have to wait for the whole system to fully boot up before you can use your reverse camera? And no, you don't. So if you start the truck and you want to go in reverse, you just got to put it in reverse. Great, now it's not going to work. It's usually a little bit quicker than that. I don't know what's going on, but it does pop up. You don't have the vehicle down here like you normally would that shows the sensors. It does make the sound when you're getting too close, but it still does work. And then when you let it fully boot up, which is going to take the 15 seconds. They also added this, I guess it's a legal thing, they had to add this scream, so that's a new one. Sometimes you can just get in and turn it on and it'll go right past that screen. I'm sure they'll fix it so that it doesn't, but for me, I don't really notice the boot up time. I guess if I was in a stock radio, I'd probably notice that it was a little bit slower, but for me, I don't even really notice. I mean, to me, that wasn't that long to go ahead and boot up. But another thing I don't think I covered on the first video is when you put it in reverse, you can see now you got the truck down there and you can see your backup sensors. It does the front ones as well, just to let you know how far you got to use that and the camera to judge. Another thing some people have issues with is if you touch up here on the top, you can actually adjust the brightness of the screen. You can adjust the contrast, you can adjust some of the settings. So if you want it a little bit less bright, I know some of the guys with the 17s have issues with bright cameras, you'd be able to turn it down here if you want to, which is a nice feature. I don't really mess with that. I leave it on default mostly. I do have the upgraded camera. That I installed just for the heck of it. My 18 didn't have a bad camera, but I just want to see what the upgraded HD camera looked like. It is a clearer picture. It is a wider angle view. But honestly, if you got an 18, 19, you're not going to see a great improvement. If you have the 17s, they understood to have a lot of issues. It's a pretty good improvement from what I've been hearing about what a lot of those owners are saying they have. Chevy has the green buttons. I don't know if I brought this up before. So at night, my buttons light up green, just like the dash. It does have the option to turn them to a red. I guess the GMCs, probably the Denali's or whatever, they have the red. You can change these buttons to the red so it'll match your interior. They do have the different color trim pieces to go with the Denali's. I think they're like a bronze or a copper, I don't remember, but they do have them. So thinking that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover. 6 months, not really any issues whatsoever. The only one that I do kind of have was my reverse. I don't know if it'll show up on here, but it kind of has little streaks. I might have brought that up the last time. It's not horrible because I don't drive like this all the time, so for backing up purposes, it's no big deal. They said it's because you're going from the factory wiring to an RCA cable, so you're losing some of the quality. Some trucks have it, some don't. Mine just happens to be one that has it. It's not a big deal. I can still back up, no problem with it. I think that's pretty much everything. I appreciate everybody watching. If you have any questions, comment. I'll try to get back to you. But this is the update video. Linkswell Gen 4 for the GM vehicles. Thanks for watching. Bye.